My name is Beth McAlpine. I live in Johannesburg. I am an associate trainer with the More to Life organization, a worldwide organization which teaches cognitive behavioral or rational emotive work, how we learn to understand our minds and our bodies and our hearts and our emotions and how they work together. I also have been in learning and development for the last 25 years of my life. And in my spare time, I'm an artist. This course came from our exploration of why we were angry and what we were angry about. Um, so it's a three-part course, 3 evenings spread over 3 weeks, where we explore what we're angry about and then finding out what's underneath the anger and then releasing it into the world. Since I've been teaching this course now, I have a very different relationship with my anger. So typically now I will notice as soon as it's starting to come up, and that could be just tiny little irritations, little annoyances that start to sneak up, and I've become acutely aware of them. And then it's much easier for me if I am getting angry or if I'm angry about something to express it in a far different way than I used to. I I would say I am feeling angry, just like that. I'm feeling angry, or I'm getting angry. I need 5 minutes. I need to take 5 minutes and walk outside and come back again. I very often take lots of deep breaths, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. And I also don't have any thoughts of what's going to happen to me if I become angry. I allow myself to express it and I express it safely. Well, before I was very explosive. I would get very, very angry. I allowed myself to yell and scream, um, and in fact, I quite enjoyed it. And I would also say, "Oh, that's part of my personality profile," very quick to anger and express anger and then move on. And people around me were scared. My family were quite terrified of me and said it was like they had to walk on eggshells around me. And it was only when they started to say things like that that I decided I wanted to address how I was with my anger. So, yeah, it used to be very, and very uncomfortable sometimes as well. Very uncomfortable having the anger. Well, later on, I realized that actually I was really ashamed, and I believed that people would laugh at me and mock me when I was angry. And I took me a long time to find that the source of that thinking, to the point that sometimes when I was angry, I wouldn't express it. So you would know I was angry. Energetically, you could feel I was extremely angry, but it caught me in the throat. And so I would end up crying, crying furiously, and stomping around. So I wasn't aware until much, much later that that anger carried with it a lot of humiliation and shame. There's a lot of anger going on in my family. My father and my mother fought a lot while I was growing up. My brother was constantly angry. Um, I think those are the main protagonists in my story around anger. Lots of shouting and yelling and screaming, um, and then as girls growing up in that household, we were told we couldn't be angry. We weren't allowed to express our anger. And so by my mother, there was quite a lot of swallowing of her anger at times. And yeah, we just, girls didn't get angry. I went to boarding school and it was not an acceptable emotion. Certainly
Mhm.
some of it. And then there were also stories told about when Beth got angry from even a young age, at 2 years old, being locked in the loo and knocking and knocking and knocking and being quite kind of cocky when I came out, Oh, thanks for opening the door. And so lots of stories were told about when Beth got angry, what transpired, and people laughed at me. My family laughed at me when I was angry. So that also shaped how I behaved or how I didn't feel safe when I was angry, and typically what I would do, what I would tell myself about my anger. Complete humiliation. Just I often felt very humiliated, and so it led to some thinking that actually, if I expressed my anger and if I told people I was angry, that I would in turn be humiliated, that something would happen to me that would cause some humiliation. And so often the feeling of humiliation comes at the same time as the anger. It's a trigger inside of me that just, I go to humiliation first. I know I'm
Mm.
angry, but I feel humiliated. So then when I wasn't expressing, or I didn't feel safe to express my anger, I hid it and I pretended. And it's an interesting thing that the exploration started when somebody said, "You're angry." And I said, "No, no, 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 I'm not. I'm really not angry." And and he kept saying, "I think you are. This is how I can see that you're angry." And yeah, once we started to explore, I said, "Yeah, actually I am." And once, actually, there was a family situation, and my cousin said to me, "Your whole family is scared of you." So that was the catalyst for me to start exploring it and looking at writing the course with Ross. Was actually that shock of being told that my whole family was scared of me. Not at all. So it's a premise of this work that those two things are not true. But it's part of the exploration that we do in the course. What really causes our anger? What's underneath the anger? What what's really at play that's going on? So it's a very um, interesting way we explore uh, where the anger was informed, what informed the anger, what early messaging we received, how it's playing out now, what do we do with it? Typically, where do we go with our anger, and where do we go? I mean, do we go into fight, flight, freeze? What happens when we get angry or frustrated or irritated or any of the nuances of anger? Um, and and so what have we done as a result of what we made up or what we thought was going on? um, yeah, so that's a huge part of the course. So really it's about saying, this is how I react when I'm angry, this is what I do. Let me take ownership of that. Let me explore how I'd prefer to behave, what it is I'd like to do when I'm angry. So it's a healthy expression of anger rather than managing it. So this is not an anger management course,
Mhm.
but it's how to, in a healthy way, express your anger, and also looking underneath the anger. What's going on underneath? It's a big part of the course. I don't want to reveal too much, but what's underneath the anger is a very important part of this course. Um, it's underneath my anger is a deep care for other people, a sense of humor, actually, a wonderful sense of humor that I find now when I'm angry, I can laugh at myself before anybody laughs at me. Or before I think anyone's going to laugh at me, I find myself laughing at myself. But there's also, a care, an empathy, a compassion for myself and for other people that I find underneath my anger. So some people come on this course and they say, well, I came because I'm quite interested. I'm not really an angry person. And through the exploration and the questions and the probing, they realize that actually we all have a repertoire of feelings, sadness, grief, love, joy, and then there's anger. And so many of us have been taught that angry people, it's not nice to be around angry people, and angry people are harmful, and when you're angry you're going to harm other people. And actually quite the opposite is true. This course is about embracing all of those, bringing them into the light so that we can see them, bringing your anger and saying, this is what my anger is about, because it's one of your feelings. It's about owning it and embracing it and taking it and saying, how can I make it part of my lived experience? In fact, one woman said that she was denying her anger for so long, having been told or believed that she needed to suppress her anger for so long, that she was busy suppressing other emotions. And she found that once she started experiencing it and allowing it to come out and allowing it some air, she was able to live her life in a different way. That actually she had access to more joy and more peace and more love and more empathy and more compassion, because she allowed herself to explore her anger and let it come out into the open. It's a really unhealthy way to work with your anger, is to suppress it. Often people who come on the course say they also feel quite depressed. They don't, yeah, they feel suppressed and depressed. So depression really is at not a clinical level, but a normal level. It's when we put a lid on things, we depress what's going on for us. And so for many people who've been on this course have said, once I took that lid off, I took the lid off my lived experience of a whole range of emotions, and then was able to say, well, actually, sometimes I get angry and it's okay. Sometimes I get sad and it's okay. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, we wouldn't say I'm a sad person or I'm a happy person or I'm a miserable person or I'm what other emotions. I'm a joyful person, because we're not that all the time. Generally, we'll say, well, generally happy person, generally content person. So we are not an angry person. We get angry sometimes. A lot of people have found that they can express something out there. I was listening, I was talking to you about that Maya Angelou quote yesterday about, you know, when you express what you're angry about, you can do something about it. You can paint it, you can draw it, you can write it, you can, put it out there in the world. The things that you care about, the things that you're angry about, the things that matter to you. And that's what a lot of people have come on this course. Firstly, they find a way to access their anger, allow it to come out, and then they go, oh, I'm angry about so and so. I'm really caring and compassionate about that issue. I want to put some expression towards that. So it's one of the pivotal pieces of the course. Embracing, getting intimate with your anger, allowing it, and then letting it have some expression in the same way as your happiness would have an expression, or your love, or your caring. In the same way, that's what this course is about. If you'd like to join me on the course, please click the link below to register. Or if you would like to attend a preview, there are 2 previews leading up to the course. And in the preview, you will get a taste of what the course is going to be like. So all of the information is on the links below. Please click either the preview or attending the course. I hope to see you there.